heard this story before.
You don't care about me, that's why. I'm with my arms, I'm all old, you say this healthy. It's healthy, I can't move my arms. I requested medical for a long time, they don't do anything about it.
No, I mean, they look like they're healing well to me. You know, I'm not a doctor, but I think you're getting good medical care.
No, I'm not. You're not here.
Six days after President Obama's inauguration, Omar Khadr's trial is set to begin.
If President Obama does not stop the military commission prosecution of two young men who were captured as children, then one of the very first acts of his administration will deal a devastating blow to one of his own stated goals, which is to restore the credibility of America in the eyes of the world.
President Obama allows that trial to begin, he will be breaking with international practice and will be presiding over the first war crimes prosecution of an alleged child soldier since World War II. When Omar Khadr was taken into custody by the U.S. at the age of 15, he was subjected to severe abuse and torture, including being held in painful stress positions, suspended by his wrists for hours on end, being hooded and menaced by barking dogs. He was even used as a human mop to wipe up urine after he urinated during the interrogation. If there's evidence that Omar Khadr committed a crime, then he should be transferred to U.S. federal court to stand trial before the American judicial system for the crime that he allegedly committed. That trial would be in standing with U.S. values, U.S. justice standards, and international juvenile justice standards. We don't know how Omar Khadr ended up in Afghanistan, but his lawyers have suggested that he is a victim of other combatants who used him as a child soldier.
You want to go back to Canada? Well, there's not anything I can do about that. By using this as a strategy to talk to us, it's not going to be any more helpful.
I am being honest.
Or you can't even bear to look at me when you're saying that.
Recently released footage of an interrogation really raises the question of his mental state. Shows him sobbing and begging for help. It shows that he was a scared teenage boy and raises serious cause for concern of how he's been treated and whether he's just was too young to be held and treated as he says he's been treated.
Mohammed has quite literally grown up in Guantanamo. Medical records show that his height has grown, he's filled out. He became a young adult in the terrible confines of this isolated island prison. Afghan forces captured him and they held him. A number of officials interrogated him and essentially told him that if he didn't confess to the grenade attack, he would be killed and his family would be killed. And Mohammed's alleged confession became the basis for his detention by US authorities and also the basis for the war crimes charges that have been leveled against him in the military commissions.
Is the predictable result when a child is taken into custody and held without access to an attorney, without charge, without contact with their parents or other children for years on end and subjected to abuse day in and day out.
Mohammed was subjected to what's euphemistically called the frequent flyer program, and he was subjected to it a few months after he attempted suicide on Christmas Day 2003. Frequent flyer program is a program of extended sleep deprivation, and Mohammed was subjected to it for approximately 2 weeks, during which he was moved 112 times every 3 or 4 hours to prevent him from going to sleep. And Mohammed is entitled to all of the protections of the international legal treaties that the US is signatory to and bound by, which emphasize the rehabilitation and reintegration of the child as opposed to the further victimization of the child. And Mohammed was never rehabilitated certainly not reintegrated, but hasn't received the kinds of services in custody that the US is obligated to provide when it is holding children in detention.
Omar Khadr spent 1/3 of his life at Guantanamo, yet he still has not had a trial, and he still has not had his detention reviewed by a judge.
This is a critical moment in history. With America's reputation on the line, President-elect Obama is at a crucial point where, with the stroke of his pen, he can suspend the military commissions, accord to both Mohammed and to Omar the rights to which they're entitled, and with respect to Mohammed, whom we represent, release him. Because as even his former prosecutor says, Mohammed does not present a threat, and there is no credible evidence nor legal basis for him to be detained or prosecuted.
It is time to close the military commissions and to bring the United States back to the core values that we hold dear.